Well, I think that there's several, and so I wouldn't want to pigeonhole this idea that there's one way to be smart. I think the most acceptable way now is to really think about there are many ways to be smart, and the way people build knowledge, the way they experience the world, and the way they are able to show what they know is very different amongst different people. So the measuring of intelligence is where we see, you know, these variations, that we have matrices where people look at things like IQ. That's one way of measuring an intelligence. But of course, we also know that there's EQ, which is an emotional intelligence, and we also know that there's all these different ways to measure different ways of being smart. So I don't think intelligence is fixed. I never have. I believe that intelligence is plastic, and people can continue to learn and grow throughout their lives, and can become more smart if they choose to.
Genes count for a lot.
From experiences.
How important genes are is related to a person's social class. For higher social class people, upper middle class people, most of the variation from one child to another is genetically determined.
I think children become intelligent when they're exposed to a lot of words from a young child. So, I mean, there have been studies that children who have been talked to as babies have a larger vocabulary and have an easier time learning to read and write. Obviously, your parents play a big role in it, and how much do you read, and even television. I don't think television is necessarily bad. I think you can learn a lot from watching TV and seeing new things. And I think to some extent, intelligence comes from our genes. Intelligence comes from the ability to be open-minded and look at other viewpoints and not just think, oh, everything I learned or the way I grew up is the right way and the other ways are wrong. So just being very open-minded.
For people who are much lower social class, poor people, genes don't matter much. What's crucial is the environment. If the environment is very good, the child will have a high IQ. Or to put it differently, the child will have as high an IQ as that child was meant to have genetically. If the environment is bad enough, no matter how good the genes are, the child will not be anything like as intelligent as would be possible in a better environment.
Being able to go through something, to live something, to see people who don't look like them or speak the same language or have the same religion. And if you can't experience it in the real world, reading is the next best thing. You can go to new planets, new countries, and new other places of discovery. And I think we learn from our parents a lot, our community where we grew up, the culture and the values that they hold dear. And
School.
I think kids get intelligent.
I think there's things that we know for sure. One is to have consistent, safe relationships with caring adults from birth, where a child's needs are being attended to in a consistent manner. We see different models of this. Not everyone does it the same way, but it's very important that that happens for children, that they are all attended to very consistently and appropriately.
Now, some of the things we know about environments that are important are love and affection from parents, intellectually stimulating things in the home, books, reading to a child, conversation, talking to a child, it looks like is very important.
Because so much of early childhood education is repetition. To stop putting themselves in boxes, to just do something because you like doing it, not because Not because it's right or there's a right answer or a wrong answer, that there are a million different ways to get to the same thing. And as long as it gets you to the goal you want to get to, that's okay.
Well, I've learned a lot. I think the first thing I learned was I don't have all the answers, and half the time I probably don't even have a right answer. I've learned that everything is more complicated and more difficult than I thought it was going in.
I think that people in my field in early childhood learn mostly from children, from observing children at play, from observing children interacting. Everything we know about children has been learned from observations of children. Unfortunately, sometimes I think nowadays we see a lot of things about sort of measuring that in this sort of standardized and really rote academic way. And we're all, in my field, are fighting really hard against that, because we can't have the way that we think about the way people learn sort of as adults or in college or in high school or in grade school. It's not the same as young children. And so this idea that there's this trickle down, that if I can measure what you need to know to go to college, then I can also measure what you need to know to go to high school, and you go backwards, it really doesn't work like that. What we know is that children build knowledge. So we should think about what children know when they come to kindergarten and build on that. And then what they know when they leave kindergarten, and we should build on that in first grade, and so forth and so on.
It really starts right when, I feel like it starts right when the baby's born. The more stimulation, the more appropriate stimulation that they have, the more intelligent that they will grow to be, because they will learn to be unsatisfied by boring things and will go and seek out the exciting thing or make it themselves.
Another thing that's important is for children to evaluate things. That is, to be asked, what do you think about this, or why do you think that? Stimulating activities like going to museums and going to movies, even just going to the mall with parents can be valuable. So basically, the more supportive and the more intellectually stimulating the environment, the brighter the child, and the more the child will be able to capitalize on the genetic predisposition of the child.